much. Rolf and Steve and Charles working the camera here, talking about Enemy in Sight. Great group player game. You know, fun theme. You know, pretty good theme tacked on to a sailing battle type ship game. I don't know what'd you think, Steve?
Well, I was really drawn to the graphics on these cards and to some of my favorite sailing and fighting ships. I really like this. Here's the Caledonian. That's a first-rate British warship, 120 guns. What's this one here?
A Spanish ship. I don't even know.
Okay.
Granada. French.
I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Deutsch le Homme.
The Rights of Man. That's a revolutionary ship. The Agamemnon, a fourth-rate.
Constellation.
The United States Constellation.
Sister ship to the
Yes.
Constitution.
And
the Bonhomme Richard. Had a major
Paul
battle.
Jones, that's right.
That's right, Paul Jones.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, you can see the quality of cards, very nice. And what's neat about this game is that they use famous ships that actually were in the fleets of the 4 different nationalities represented in the game. The Brits, the Spanish, the French, and the Americans. Now, again, it's a themed style game, so it's not historic in any way. When you set up your line, that's what it would basically be. You'd have a line of ships that you pick randomly that could have any nationality in it. Now, what happens is you have 2 types of damage that can be taken on the ship. You also start out with these event cards. So you'd start out with the same number of event cards that you have in your line, your ships of the line. So if you had 6, you would have 6 event cards. And what you do is, during the course of the play, you play an event card each turn. Or you don't have to play an event card, you just would discard a card instead. And again, you can never have more cards in your hand than you do in ships, line of ships. And you could hit the rigging or the hull. Rigging is on the top, hull is on the bottom. If you max out or go beyond your rigging number, it flips over and is now dismasted. If you max out or go beyond your hull number, it is sunk. Comes off the board and is awarded to the person who sunk it for victory points. All right? Now, Steve, you got to
good. You're doing great.
Well, I just want to say, Steve, you want to talk about the event card.
Okay,
So
if you're dismasted there.
Yeah, if you're dismasted, go ahead.
Then your opponent can board with Marines and seize control of your ship. And get points that way.
Right, but you have to roll a die.
You have to roll a dice, yeah. You have to roll a 4, 5, or a 6 in that case.
Now, what would happen if you were to board the ship?
You would take the ship, or you may lose your attacking ship.
Right. Your ship could be captured.
It could be
in
a
the
good
process.
thing or a bad thing.
Which has happened to
Well,
some
it has
people
happened, but you have to roll a 1. But with the Marine, it gives you a +1 to your die roll, which makes it impossible for them to capture your ship with the Marine bonus.
That's right.
That's true.
Right, so you can't lose your ship there.
If you have the
bring a
Marine, yeah.
If you don't bring a Marine, you do take a chance, as Charles found out by
Yes.
rolling a 1.
Yeah.
He lost his ship to a dismasted ship. It was great. But as far as the die roll to capture the ship, you then have to make a decision. So if this is your line, then you'd make a decision whether you want to add the ship to your line or put it in as a prize behind your line. And then what you have to do in the future is take that ship and bring it to home, meaning a home port. And all that really means is you say, all right, I'm going to bring it home to a port. All right, stick a port shit on there and you're at port, which means it gets repaired and it no longer can be used for anything else but points. But what happens is instead of the regular points, which is you're adding your top number and your bottom number together, you double it. So this 8 becomes a 16. So that goes towards your points. And the whole idea behind the game is to gain enough points to win, which is 100. First person to reach 100 points wins.
So a typical player hand is basically drawing a card and then playing a card, and usually that's putting damage on the ship and deciding whether you want to put it on the rigging or the hull.
Or the hull. Or you have, like Steve was ready to point out, an additional ship card, which then you would play this, discard it, and then you would take from the pile of extra ships here and add it to your line. So you take from the top card and add that to your line. And now that would increase your hand to 7 instead of 6.
Show one of the hit cards and how they're applied to the
Well, here's a 3. You need at least a third-rate ship to use this. We could apply it here to the Bonhomme Richard.
On the rigging or the hull.
On the rigging in this case, so we'd knock all the rigging out.
Yep.
And now we can board that ship.
Right. It can't be boarded. In this game, you can't board the ship until you dismast it.
Okay.
So, and he's absolutely right. Once it hit the equal to the rigging, which is 3 here, it flips it, now you can board it. And you can do that the same turn that you dismasted it. Usually you can't do more than one action, but in this case, since he fired a broadside, he dismasted it. Now he could play a boarding party with a Marine and capture that ship, hopefully.
Okay.
All right? So that's how that would work.
Or let's say that he already had 2 hull against him.
Right.
We could apply that against the hull,
And now you've reached,
and we sink that ship.
he reached 5, it's
and
over. You don't even
take
flip
it
over.
away and get the victory points right like that.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. So, there's a lot of cool mechanics. Also, you have other cards in the deck that
The action
affect
cards?
gameplay. These are the action cards that you would play in your hand. Some of these cards, I hope I can find one here quickly. Of course, when you need it, you never do. You would find what they call a red action card, which is an event.
I think there's one laying right in front of you, the red card.
Oh, there is. There you go. Thank you, Charles. This red card, as you can see, says red action instead of a black action name. And it has to be played. Whenever someone gets, because every turn you pick up a card to fill your hand back up to capacity, and if any of the cards are a red action, you stop picking up, and you have to play the red card. In this case, this one says Admiralty's Orders, and it would affect any mobile ship in your line. A mobile ship means it's not dismasted, and it would have to return to port. So in that words, you just take a chip, stick it on, and now that ship is at port. There's other cards in here as well. Red cards are weather gauge. That affects break the line cards and things that happens to certain events. What's another card that happens? Fire. Any ship that's damaged, any kind of damage on the ship could cause a fire if it's on the rigging or the hull. So you start to then accumulate fire chits every turn. So every turn you would go up in the amount of damage you're taking because of the fire. Unless you played a bucket brigade, which puts out the fire. Doesn't take away the damage that's accumulated so far, but at least puts out the fire from doing any more damage.
Okay, so each player has his own line of cards that sits in front of him, and then everybody just takes turn whaling on each other and trying to sink each other's ships and taking those ships for points.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good thing. Good multiplayer game. I mean, I would suggest, for 2 people, you're just sitting there whacking in. Sure, like it's a fun, quick game if you want to do that, but it's really for multiplayer. It's like it shines with 4 or more.
Right.
You could play up to 8 people with this game.
Yep, and the
more
diplomacy and the ribbing and all that stuff happens, and that's a lot of fun.
A lot of screwage. So, I mean, just to rate it on the Richter scale, 1 to 10, what do you think?
Go ahead. It's a good social game. It's a fun game.
Okay.
Well, Steve likes the tactical stuff, so he's
So
a
what would you
wooden
say,
ships
Steve?
and Iron Man man.
Give it a rating. Go ahead. You had one before. Throw it out there.
What, a 1 to 4?
1 to 10. Between 1 and 10.
10. I guess I'd give it a 7.
A 7? Okay. I'm agreeing with Steve. I'd give it a
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you there. I had a lot of fun playing
It's
it.
a fun game.
Yeah.
It's hard to rate it like it's rating as a social game, probably an 8. Rating as a tactical game, a 3.
That's right.
Well, okay, if you're going to rate it as like a wooden ship
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
game, yeah.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Not what it's for.
There's no
Right.
CRT, there's no hexagons.
Right.
You're not going to
It's just-
sit there and learn anything as far as
There's
history
really
goes.
no odds. So
It's a fun game with a nice theme. Really good theme.
I did like the feel of when you put the line card down, when you put the damage on somebody's line, all their ships kind of went out of formation. And
The break the line card.
Yeah, break the line card. That was kind
Yeah,
of
break the line. Without going into detail about that, you can read it on BGG. But break the line's cool. It kind of allows you to attack ships behind the line that he's using for prizes or trying to get back to port. It also allows you to do extra damage because it gives you a +2 on everybody in that line that you played it on, and you can actually do more damage every turn.
And there is a psychology of it. When somebody's pulling ahead, then of course the other 3 players will try to
Oh, absolutely.
down.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5 or whatever players.
Go for the extra points and stuff. So.
Yep. So yeah, there's some cool
Yeah,
screwage
that's
tactics in
cool.
it. So
It's kind of
Good game.
uncomfortable when you're being slowly destroyed.
if you're in the lead, yeah, that
You're in
sucks.
the lead. Yeah.
But I would say it's a game worth buying, definitely worth buying. I mean, this game was made in 1988 by Avalon Hill, but has been redone by Lost Battalion Games not too many years ago. So it's worth it. I mean, it's a fun game. It's worth buying.
Yeah, like $15 right now on that, for an acceptable copy on
Right,
BGG.
well,
so.
So yeah,
But it's definitely worth that. So.
worth getting, I think.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks.
See you.